So welcome to our webinar today, Stress Management, the Holiday Edition. Normally, if you've attended any of our webinars for 2019, usually I've done one of our webinars or maybe a couple, but I usually introduce our host or speaker. But this time I am the host slash speaker, but welcome and thank you for taking some time. I know since we are a technology company, and so it's kind of an interesting topic to talk about stress management, but just really with any company or any employee, we deal with stress on a daily basis, but especially in the month of December. And I know as a parent, when you go to have kids, then there are even more activities outside of your job or a personal life that you have to be responsible for. And as a technology company, we do have some ideas as to what you can do to help manage that stress. So, some preparations that you can take as well as some tools. So, for today's agenda, I'm going to go over the definition of stress, talk about some of the causes of holiday stress, some steps that you can take to mentally prepare for the holiday season, as well as I just mentioned, some tips that will include a few technologies on how you can manage that holiday stress. So stress, and it was interesting when I went to look up the definition of stress. It's a hard word to define, actually. There are, doctors are constantly working to figure out exactly what causes stress and, the different types of stress. But in going through the definitions of stress, it came back to really the body's reaction to any change that requires an adjustment. Uh, the body reacts physically, mentally, and emotionally. And then, it's a normal part of life. I don't think that there's one person that can say that they don't experience some sort of stress, even on a daily basis. We can experience it from our environment, our body, our thoughts, and even those positive life changes, a promotion or a mortgage. You've just recently bought a house or had a baby. It produces lots of stress as well. All right. So, what are some causes of holiday stress? So, if we think about, we're heading through the year and we're getting closer and closer to the holidays, some things that can really start to increase that stress and get us feeling maybe a little anxious as we're approaching the holiday season. One is fatigue. We're ending 2019, and so leading up to the month of December, we've already had 11 months of life, right? Work, personal, everything that goes along with that, and kids or no kids, pets. There are things that can happen, and so we get to a point where we're approaching the end of the year, and I know a lot of people just say, "Man, I'm tired. I'm just tired," and so with that fatigue, then, you're again heading into the holiday season where there's a lot of planning. There might be a lot of family functions. There are, gifts to purchase. And so fatigue is definitely one of those. Also, when you think about life in general, what's changed? And so over the past year, there could be life changes that people experience, whether it's divorce or, a new home, a death in the family, something like that. So just the experiencing the year and what has changed throughout the year. And as you approach the holiday can create that stress. And then also over commercialization. I don't know about you, but especially with social media, there are and just, TV, what have you, but so many ads in your face as to what the new fads are or what you should purchase your kids or, what you should purchase your spouse or your partner, and so it's always in our faces. And it can create stress because, it can start to affect, just really your original plans for how you were going to maybe handle Christmas with, or any holiday with your family. And so, over commercialization can really cause a lot of stress as well. And then financial, that's a biggie. Uh, you know, it, I don't I don't know. I don't think it matters if are sitting in a situation where, even if you're very comfortable, financially, just when the holidays roll around and you have gifts to purchase or events to attend, things for the schools, things for work, just there's a lot that goes into it. So financially, there's usually a lot of money that gets dished out in in the month of November, and the months of November and December. And then also unhappy memories. So if anyone has ever experienced some sadness around the holidays, whether it's as a child or just earlier in life, then that can also create some big stress as we're approaching the holidays. All right. So how do we mentally prepare? So as we're approaching, what can we do mentally to make ourselves ready for the holidays? Number one, don't make unrealistic expectations. So go into it knowing, what your limits are, knowing, what you're going to say yes to, what you're going to say no to, because if you have a bunch of invitations for parties or events, what are you going to say no to and say yes to? Or, your kids give you a Christmas list that's 2 pages long. And yes, it's technically for Santa, but it falls on the parent. And so, where are you going to set those boundaries and set those limits? And also don't compare. Uh, that's another thing that's super difficult in today's world with social media. uh, it's easy to look at somebody else's situation and feel as though, oh wow, you got your kid that for Christmas, or you bought your husband a new car. All right, that's fantastic. My husband's gonna get a watch. So it's the idea of not comparing, because that's that's gonna really drive that stress through the roof. Setting a realistic budget. So, when you're walking, you're preparing yourself for the holidays, really thinking through, based upon all of your expenses, what is going to be realistic and what's not, so that you don't, head out of the holiday season with a super amount of debt. Sticking to a routine. This is helpful, you know, as you're heading into the craziness and the chaos of the holiday season, trying to do your best to sticking to a routine and what's comfortable for you and what you know. Because as everything is around you and there's so many distractions, there's so much going on, trying to remember like the heart of your routine, being able to stick to that can be helpful. um and then also, last but definitely not least, check in with yourself. And I am not great at this and I'm trying to get better, but the idea of self-care is huge, because, kids or not, spouse or not, partner or not, it doesn't really matter. Life is just busy. And we are always on the go. We are always responsible for a million things. Being able to take that time for yourself, even if it's super small, is really important, and can, help get you through the chaos. All right, so 10 tips to manage holiday stress, and then with a little help from some cool technologies. All right, so step one, and this is something that uh, it's always helpful for me, really, with anything I do, but making a to-do list. So as you are getting through the holiday season and there's so much going on, making that to-do list can be helpful to, really just keep you, going, and to keep you or hold yourself accountable for everything that you need to do. So A couple of technologies to help with that. And, this might be very familiar, or you might be using one of them, but Microsoft OneNote. So that is a part of the Office 365 suite, but it allows you to create lists and notebooks that you can divide into sections and pages. And it allows you to record audio notes and then also attach some videos and files. What's cool is that you can also share these notebooks with family or friends. So I don't know, let's say you have a list, and whether you keep it here or in Excel or what have you, but if you have a list of everyone who you send Christmas cards to or holiday cards, and you have a sibling that's like, oh man, I lost all of these addresses, then you can just easily share that notebook with a family or friend, and it's right there. And then on the Google side of things, so if you're more of a Google fan, then Google Keep is very similar. It has a lot of the same features as OneNote, and it offers several different tools for taking notes. Also allows images, audio, and this can also be shared with family and friends, which makes it helpful. So number two on our top 10 is getting organized. Um, I always say for me, I'm an organized person, but I would say it's probably more along the lines of organized chaos. But I try to do what I can to stay organized, and I live by my calendar. So a couple of technology ideas, which, I think most people utilize their calendars, but I have actually heard recently somebody say, that they didn't even do anything with a calendar, which I don't even know how that's possible. But anyway, so first one is Outlook calendar. It's a part of Outlook, and is super easy, fully integrated with email, contacts, and other features. And so, you can just click a time slot and put in the information. It's also awesome because it can be used with your phone, so it can be used on the web. There are a lot of options there. And then Google Calendar also just another calendar option. So if you have a Gmail account, then you have a Google Calendar. I actually use a Google Calendar, and I also use an Outlook calendar. I may use Outlook for business and then Google for personal. So I have a couple of different calendars, but obviously you can use each one for both. Up to you. Um, and then number three, use downtime to your advantage. So downtime, what is that? Who has downtime? But if you do find yourself with some additional time, then do a couple of extra things. So kill a couple couple of loads of laundry. Um, go grocery shopping, even if it's not your normal day. If you have that downtime, then take a couple of things off of your list if you're able. All right, so number four, wrap gifts as you buy them. And this I need to, this is something that I definitely need to practice what I preach. I am that person who is wrapping gifts on Christmas Eve. I have been that person for a long time, but it stresses me out every year, and I'm doing it to myself. So this year I have made a promise to myself that that is not going to be me. But yeah, so as you're buying them, wrap them, and then you don't have anything to worry about as Christmas or the holidays approach. And then number five, this is, it's tough, but try to stick to that budget you set. So when we talked about mentally preparing for the holidays and setting that budget, now here we go with sticking to that budget. A couple of technology ideas here. Number one is Mint. Not sure if that's something that's. I mean, Mint has been around for a while, but it's a free app that allows you to manage your finances in one place. So you can link all of your financial accounts and save time with this, one-stop shop functionality. So you can go in and see where you're at financially, what have you set aside for the holidays, and managing it right there in that app, which is very helpful. And then another one is Wally. It's also free, and it's available on both the iPhone and Android, which Mint is as well. But it helps you compare your income to your expenses. So it's very similar to Mint, but seems to be a little bit more. Well, what it said in the description, it's more geared to millennials, but uh, it talked about, to where you can understand where your money goes and set and achieve goals. So it really dives deeper into that financial planning aspect, but it is helpful as, you're trying to budget and plan. Um, it seems to understand a little bit more based upon your spending history, and helps you manage your money, so that you know where, when, what, why, how much. And then number six, oh, that was number four. So use use downtime to your advantage. So I repeated that one. So I'm really telling you to use downtime to your advantage. So we'll skip that one. But number seven, strive to be healthy. So a couple of technology ideas, Fitbit, and then also Apple Samsung watches. So both the Fitbit and the smartwatches for Apple and Samsung allow you to track steps, also track your sleep patterns. So, which is huge as, kind of going back again to, what causes stress. I mean, fatigue is really high on the list. And so being able to try to get sleep, which I know is definitely hard for all of us, but trying to get more sleep, but then not only that, but analyzing your sleep and seeing, yes, I got 7 hours last night, but why do I feel exhausted? Well, it could be that you're just not sleeping well. You're just horizontal, but you're not sleeping well. And so those two, if you don't have one, highly recommend getting one. But just, really good to work on the health aspect. All right, so number 8 on our list, help others. So I know when I do any kind of volunteer work or donate to charities, it just makes me feel good, and I have two daughters, and I want them to understand the importance of this as well, and being thankful for what you have, and even though um, you are lucky in the life that you have, and you have a roof over your head, and you don't have to wonder where your next meal is going to come from, uh, ensuring that they understand that not everybody has it that way. And so helping others around this time is really important, especially because those that are less fortunate, this is probably an extremely tough time for them, um, as they approach the holidays. So number 9, make those travel plans early. So if there is any traveling that has to happen, whether it's driving or flying, making those plans early. I mean, especially with flying. And so a couple of ideas. Hopper is an app that predicts prices and helps you book your flights and hotels at the right time, and you could save up to 40% using Hopper. And I've used Hopper several times whenever I've been looking for some more expensive flights. I have a friend who lives in Oregon, and to fly there is kind of crazy if you want to fly during the months where it's not pouring down rain, which is only what, like 3 months out of the year. And so trying to get there is very expensive. And so I've utilized Hopper to look for some flights there. Another one is Kiwi. And Kiwi helps you figure out where you can fly within your budget. So it's similar to Hopper, and there are some other apps out there, but Kiwi and Hopper, I've seen, seem to be some of the two of the more top rated ones. Uh, and then number 10, last but definitely not least, enjoy that time with your loved ones. It is a hectic time. It's a stressful time. It's a chaotic time. But at the end of the day, It is about family and being able to gather and see some people that you might not see all year long, but only around the holidays. So take the time and enjoy. All right. Well, that is, just some information for you as you do approach the holidays. It is a time that's fun and where it provides a lot of joy, but unfortunately, it is a time of stress. And so, as your partner, your technology partner, we wanted to just offer up this webinar to give you some ideas or some tools to help get through the stress and the chaos. So, any questions or uh, any thoughts or that you want to share today?
I don't have any.
All right. Sounds good. Well, thank you so much for taking some time to join. I do hope that it was helpful, and I hope you have a wonderful holiday season.
You too. Thank you.
Thank you.